on increasing social protection payments for 2020.
Minister.
Chair, we're going to try and take questions 4 and 5 together, is that?
Is
that all right? Thank you. That's
4 and 5 are grouped, but members will get sufficient time.
Thank you. So the Government is committed to making the needs of families a priority, to making better outcomes for families a priority, especially those within the ages of our department who are at most at risk of poverty. And over the last 3 budgets, the maximum rates of all weekly payments have increased by €15. Last year, I also increased the payment to qualified children for the first time, thankfully, since 2010, where we provided extra payments for children under 12 and increased payments for children over 12 to recognise that children over 12 cost more money. And in addition, we restored the Christmas bonus to 100%, which I think was long overdue. And this is paid to 1.2 million long-term recipients of social welfare payments in 2018 to assist with the extra expenses that we all incur around Christmas time. Increasing the standard rates of payments, however, is only one part of the approach the Government has taken to improve the living standards of social welfare recipients. We've also introduced measures which target those most at risk of poverty, such as significantly increasing the back-to-school allowance last year, the school and clothing and footwear allowance. We extended the fuel season. We increased school funding for school meals, which is coming into its own. And we increased the disregards for lone parents, for low-income families, whilst consistently strengthening the provision for our employment services. And as part of this year's preparations for Budget 2020, I hosted my department's annual pre-budget forum in July, and representatives of some 50 groups, voluntary, trade union, business groups, had the opportunity to present their budget priorities directly to me and to my officials. And in addition, both myself and my officials, we regularly engage with a wide range of stakeholders, both bilaterally, I only had 4 meetings on Monday of this week, but also through regular meetings with people in the community and the voluntary pillar, and the Social Inclusion Forum, where amongst other relevant issues, poverty, research and issues are generally discussed. In addition, the Department's Social Inclusion Division examines the impact of any potential budget measure on poverty rates, and social impacts assessments are carried out. And this is evidence-based methodology which estimates our likely distributive effects of the changes on household income using the ESRI's switch model. So with regard to Brexit, the Convention on Social Security was signed on the 1st of February 2019, and the parliamentary ratification processes in both Ireland, and it took a little bit longer in the UK, were completed by March of this year. And that means no matter what happens when the UK leaves the EU, the recipients will experience no change to the reciprocal social welfare arrangements that existed and have long time existed between Ireland and the UK. The rights, the entitlements of both the EU and British citizens to social welfare payments will remain for all exactly as they were before whatever kind of Brexit ends up materialising. And the discussions are ongoing at the moment in relation to this year's budget, but I think the context of the environment that we're in is going to probably push us in a direction where we will be having a slightly different and more focused budget than we would have heretofore. But those discussions are ongoing, and as probably is the norm for the Department of Social Welfare, I'd expect them to be ongoing right up to the day before the final budget is decided upon.
For supplementary, Deputy Barry.
Minister, you didn't mention the word pensions in your reply. I want to zero in on the issue of pensions. Is it true, as we are reading in some newspapers, that the government and Fianna Fáil, with whom they are negotiating or framing the budget, are looking at the idea of freezing the basic pension rate in this budget? Now, I understand there's a threat of a no-deal Brexit, and that would present a challenge for any government. But you could go after the rich. You could go after the big landlords. Why is it that you are choosing to target, or seeming to choose to target, the pensioners in this budget? Are they to be made the whipping boys for a no-deal Brexit? Their rents will go up, their insurance costs will go up, you will ensure that their carbon tax goes up, but it seems as though you're preparing to freeze their pensions. And I would like you to comment on that and not evade the issue as you did in your introductory comments.
Minister to respond. No, we'll take 2 supplementaries separately and then we'll combine the other 2. Minister.
Sure, thank you, Chair. I didn't evade the question because I answered exactly the question as you wrote to me, which was give you an update on the negotiations. As I've suggested to you, the only thing that I've put on the record publicly in any newspapers, and I don't know where you're reading what you're reading, is that my job is to make sure that in every budget, that the limited amount of funds that I get, whether they're small or big, are targeted at the people who need them the most, and that's exactly what I'm going to do this year.
Deputy, no, you get supplementary later. Deputy Bowen.
Thanks, Carla. Well, Minister, I'm glad to hear you did the budget forum and that you've been meeting, all the advocacy groups. We've also all met them, I suppose, and obviously.